Hey, coming up, we have stories about being uncomfortable with your spouse's new friend. Should we teach our children to do chores before they leave the home? I thought that was going to say womb, which would be different. Pretending not to be my father's daughter. Not sharing beds until marriage. Divorcing your cheating wife and changing your dog's name. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for all that drama? Hey there, it is Dusty. Thunder. You remember me? I got a story for you. This is from AITAH and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Being Uncomfortable with My Husband's New Friend? Okay, context. A few months ago, my husband, Jay, became friends with this girl, S. He hangs out with her a decent amount of time, once a week to every other week-ish, which is decent given our work schedules. I've never met her, nor have I been invited to. Okay. I'll go ahead and red flag that. If you have a friend that is a member of the opposite sex, I feel like there's an obligation to introduce them to your spouse, your partner, or at least over communicate to your partner to put them at ease, right? It's been mentioned that she wants to meet me, however, plans are never made and I'm not invited when he goes. He says he's also hanging out with her boyfriend, but again, I've never met these people. Okay. A few things that really rubbed me the wrong way. He's been doing a lot for her and gave her our space heater, which I have no problem with him being helpful or kind, but it seems that he tries to solve it whenever she has an issue. I asked about donating the Nintendo Switch that we have literally never used and has sat in the drawer for years to a child in need, and he said no because he told S that she could maybe borrow it sometime, and he can't go back on his word that she could maybe borrow it sometime. However, he promised an incredibly close friend of mine that she could for sure have our old Xbox as a Christmas gift, and he's fine going back on that for me to donate that instead. Also, every single time we've gotten in a fight since he met her, he stormed out of the house and run over to her place. Ew, that's no bueno. He does not return for hours and does not contact me at all while he's gone. I only know where he is because we have iPhones and I have his location. After making a huge deal about spending Christmas with me, he spent less than 2 hours with me and went to a party with her that I wasn't invited to and was gone all afternoon and night. Bro, what are you doing? I'm scrolling back up just to remind me, it is husband. It is husband. I was like, are they just dating casually? Nope, they are married. I spoke to him about all of these points and said that I was uncomfortable and he swore nothing was going on, but apparently turned right around and told her what we talked about. Because she's my friend, of course I told her. And A, this makes him more sus, like you got your story straight. And B, now it's going to be weird with me and her if we do meet. Not that I even want a relationship with a female who runs to my husband every time she has a problem. He has other female friends whom I adore and does none of this shit with them, so it's not just me hating other women or some dumb shit. Am I crazy for being uncomfortable? Especially considering he doesn't tell me what they talk about, but immediately turned around and told her about a private conversation that he and I had.
Red flags.
Last thing I found out today, she's single. Apparently she dumped her boyfriend last night. Guess who she came to first?
Red flags.
Oh yeah, I got this. Sound effects.
40 of them. He's hanging from his coats.
Top comment here. The moment my husband ditches me on Christmas to go hang out with a friend and prioritizes her above all things is the moment the marriage ends. It's at least an emotional affair. He's neither taking accountability nor trying to see your side of things or take your concerns serious. There's literally nothing you can do. He already made his choice. Now it's on you to make a choice. Is this the kind of marriage or relationship you want to have? What do you expect of him? What are the consequences you are willing to go through with? You are being replaced, probably have been already. You can end it on your terms or his, your choice. Let's dive into this, chat. Let me know what you think real quick. She's not single, she has a boyfriend. Your husband, Rez says, that makes sense. She's not the ASCON, but her husband is ASCON 1. Brittany says, so, I mean, let's examine all possibilities here real quick. The obvious one is, yeah, it at least started as an emotional affair and now is about to transfer into like an official affair or an end of a marriage, and he's just running off there. I don't see even if it was a dude friend, even if his friend was a friend of the same gender, I don't see how his behavior would make sense. I don't see how his behavior would not be sus, even if it was a guy friend. Now, never making the effort to actually let these two people meet, his wife and his friend that's a girl, we'll call her girlfriend because it's easier. Never making an effort to actually make that happen is a huge, huge red flag. And it's probably because he knows she'd feel the vibe. She'd see something between them, right? She has the hunch. The behavior definitely supports her theory here. Let's go the opposite direction, though. Is there a way that this could be completely innocent?
No.
Just no. Just no. Just no. I agree. There's nothing that makes it innocent, and his behavior, I think, is what seals the deal on that. There's no way that this isn't some sort of an affair because of his sus behavior. That's not even brozo kind of stuff. It's like, oh, I just forgot. No, because every time something happens, he runs over there. Also, he wants to be the man of the house for this friend and fix every problem that she has. I'm guessing her relationship ended because boyfriend ended up having a problem with your hubby's involvement with his girlfriend. So yeah, now it's on you to make a decision about what you are and are not willing to accept. And maybe that's the conversation. Maybe that's the conversation right now to talk to him and say, look, the way I see things moving here is that we are 2 seconds away from getting a divorce. So if there isn't something going on between you and her, and there's some kind of rational explanation for all of your sus behavior, now's the time. And see what happens. See if he tries to backpedal. See if there's a logical explanation to it. There won't be. But I would at least put the spotlight on him and let him answer the questions. And then at that point, create your boundaries and be like, look, even if there is a logical explanation for this, I am no longer willing to accept this kind of behavior. And if it continues, I will be gone. You have 30 days to turn this ship around, sir. If this behavior continues at all, I will be gone. Or from this moment forward, this will never happen again, or I'm gone. That boundary has to be firm and something that there is an immediate and clearly defined consequence if he breaks it. Now, that's if you stay. If in this conversation, all of your worries are validated here, I think the choice is pretty clear. The part of this that bothers me the most is that he's a f***ing coward. The cowardly route of trying to explain it away and sneak over there, but then come back and gaslight you into pretending that you're the problem and you're being overreactive and there's nothing there and it's completely innocent, blah, blah, blah. It's such a cowardly fucking move. I have zero respect for it. None. Tater thoughts. Come on up. I can't imagine ever doing this to you. I can't imagine ever having a friend that was a female that I didn't immediately introduce you to. And if I did have a friend that was a female, chances are like she'd be your friend first or your friend as well. I just can't imagine putting you in this lopsided position here.
No, because you respect the hell out of me, so you would never put me in this position. But I've been in relationships where I've been played against another woman back and forth, which just feels like what is happening here. He's playing them both. And that's happened to me enough to know that I will never allow that to happen to me again. I know my worth, and this ain't it. Like I would not sit idly by and come to Reddit and make this post asking what I should do. I would be gone because I'm not going to allow the person who took vows and is supposed to be my partner in life to run to another woman and then give him an ultimatum.
Yeah.
You made your choice, go live with it because this ain't it. Like you've already shown me multiple times who you're choosing. Christmas Day would have been the final straw for me and I would have been out.
Oh yeah. That's that's a BFD.
It is a BFD. And to leave on a holiday and go with another woman and her boyfriend or whatever. She may not have even had a boyfriend, honestly.
That's valid.
But he's actively choosing someone over you, and I wouldn't stick around, and I wouldn't wait to give him an ultimatum. I would just be gone. Like, you're done. You You go lie in the other bed that you created. I'm done.
Okay, so you wouldn't even have a conversation to be like, okay.
She already had conversations.
That's true.
She already told him.
Whenever she tells him, like, I'm out, you made your choice, I guess that's also his last opportunity to try to explain things here.
Right.
And like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe she's his long-lost sister, and they look so much alike that it would be obvious once they met.
You're trying
I'm trying to come up with any other possibility.
None. There is absolutely none. Even if they're related, even if he's trying to cultivate this relationship, if you can't be open and honest with me, done. Like, I'm done. I'm not gonna sit around and wait for you to make a choice and do all of this stuff. I'm moving on. Because I don't want, I've been in this position. I've been, Meredith Grey and Addison. I don't want to be that.
Pick me.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Choose me.
The fact that you know that makes me so happy. But I don't want to be that girl. Like, I married you because I loved you. And you are showing me right now that you don't love me. So I'm not going to sit idly by and just watch you try to make a decision on who you want to be with. Get out.
I get it. And
I'm not an option, period. Lisa, I love that.
Yeah, and you know what?
You know your worth. I love it.
Like, the decision should have been made right there. He married OP.
Yep.
That was the decision, and that was the commitment. And as soon as he started abandoning that commitment, that's when he made his choice.
Right.
And it is as simple as that. I'm just trying to think, like, is there any crazy Twilight Zone way that there's another explanation? And Brozo, it just ain't happening. There's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing there. So we're going to go ahead and give that to you. You got the Brozo. OP is officially NTA. We got the first one right, y'all. Hey, I think we're all in agreement here that her hubby and girly friend here go straight to ASCOM 1.
I do want to just read this comment that it says, if you don't want to choose me, I'll choose me. And I love that so much. That's perfect. It sums it up.
Also, I'm going to start using that like every opportunity.
Me?
It's like when we're talking about what we want to eat for dinner, and I'll throw my choice out there. And you're like, and I'm like, if you don't want to choose me, I'll choose me.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
But I love you.
I'm a real tough talker, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, I just want peace. I don't want more trouble. You know what I mean? Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder once again with another story for you. Title of this story is, Am I the Astronaut for Teaching My Son a Lesson and Throwing Him Out After He Said Household Chores Are a Woman's Job? I, 34 male, got a 16-year-old son with my ex, 34 female. We had our son way too early in life. We lived on the same street growing up and knew each other from school. We fooled around sometimes and the rest is history. I'm ashamed to say, but both of our parents have been exceptionally controlling in both of our lives up until the divorce, and both my ex and I were too much of a pushover to do anything about it. When they learned that she was pregnant, they forced us to get married. Then they told me they want her as a stay-at-home mom and me to work. My ex and I hated each other for our stolen lives. We were never cruel to one another and have never displayed any hatred in our house for our son's sake, but we slept in different bedrooms, avoided each other as much as we could. We split up after I caught her cheating, which finally made us both be able to break off the chains of control, both that our parents had over us, and get divorced 2 years ago. Now everything is very good between us, and I even consider her a friend, now that she's no longer my wife. And credit where credit is due, she was, however, a remarkable homemaker and an amazing mother. When we divorced, I had to learn all of this on my own. It was the first time I realized how much work goes into maintaining a house. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I had to look up YouTube tutorials on how to clean and cook. Hey, you know what? Time out. No shame. There's no shame in looking those things up to learn how to do them, because you're learning how to do them. The fact that you committed to learning how to do them is a huge deal. Also, the fact that it happened hand in hand while you were realizing like how hard all this was is a great learning. It was a learning moment for you. A few weeks ago, I was ironing my and my son's clothes and told him that I want to teach him how to do this. I don't want him falling into the same mistake that I did and never learning this on my own. He said he doesn't want to, and I just said he'll have to learn to do this at some point. He then said, Only failed men do stuff like this, and I won't be one of them. Only failed men know how to iron?
Your parents.
What? Candy Thunder said it sounds like your parents were in his ear, which is possible. It's entirely possible the grandparents got involved here and started chirping their own narrative. As controlling as they were with you, OP, what makes you think they're going to be any less controlling with him? I stopped and looked up a bit bewildered and asked him to clarify. He said that it is his belief that this is a woman's job to do and that only simps do simple household chores. Oh, God. He's got a freaking subscription to Andrew Tate, doesn't he? I don't even know if that guy's around anymore.
Funny you should that.
Is-
He's breeding.
Is he? Oh, boy. I tried to keep my composure as much as I could, but asked if he saw me as a simp, and he just shrugged. I told him that now he will have to choose his next words very carefully, but I said that he will learn household work whether he likes it or not. He again reiterated what he said, and I said, well, if you think that this is a woman's job, it's time for you to live with a woman and to pack his bag and to go to his mom's house, as I will not have any of that Andrew Tate bullshit in my house. Well, looky there. My son lives with me during the week as his school is only 5 minutes away and his mom is nearly 2 hours away. He refused to make his bag, so I made it for him. He started seeing the gravity of my seriousness and tried to backtrack on his words, but I wasn't having any of it. He must have called his mom in the time that I was packing, as she called me as well. She asked me what's going on, and I told her what happened. Surprisingly, she's on my side and has just asked me to drop him off at her house, and she'll keep teaching him a lesson. Yes!
Co-parenting?
Yes! Two people who hated each other in a marriage, but now they're a diabolical duo.
I love this. It's been about 2 weeks now that he lives with his mom, and she has been reinforcing the household chores on him. He's called me multiple times to apologize and has been asking me to come back. His mom and I agreed he's going to stick this up for a week or two after the holidays and make him commute to school and do lesser household chores, and let him come back to me to reinforce the consequence of his belief. My friends that I spent Christmas with yesterday said I was rather hard and it was a dick move to uproot his life like this, and it was an asshole thing to do. So now I'm questioning myself, was I the asshole here? Before we dive into an edit, let's talk about this for a second. Your 16-year-old kid comes in one day and he's like, I'm too much of a man to do any of this shit. It's only a job for women and simps. Okay. First of all, child, you're wrong. Second of all, thinking that you're going to find a woman that's going to put up with your bullshit attitude and do all this shit for you is delusional. Third, what the f*** about you makes you think that you're better than a woman? What? What is it? What is it? What is it that you think makes you better? You can pee standing up? Guess what? They invented Chiwis a while back. They can do that shit now too. Thoughts? It would never fly here. It would never fly. Truth. I mean, if this shit left unchecked got into him getting into a relationship, and that relationship becoming a serious relationship and turning into a marriage, first of all, I mean, as vocal as he is about his beliefs at this point in life, I don't think it would ever get that far. Unless, I mean, there are people out there who think that this is okay, though. There are women out there who would be okay with this kind of attitude. I don't know how, but he may actually find somebody that buys into this bullshit. Dustin Cushman, I'd leave some Taco Bell toilet marks for him to clean. That's the other side of it. He's 16. He's a 16-year-old kid. The other side of it is like, okay, if that's your belief, what do you believe that a man should be doing? And are you doing any of that? I don't think you are. I just don't understand it. Edit. This exploded far beyond what I had imagined to happen, and I want to say thanks to everybody for the kind words. For people saying otherwise, I just want to clarify a few things. One, I did not just ship my son off to my ex to teach him chores. My whole point was because he thinks chores should be a woman's job, he should live with a woman, even though he's seen me do these chores numerous times. Whilst I may initially have reacted impulsive, I was not going to just brush this under the rug if my ex wasn't on board. I am more than willing to teach my son all of this stuff myself. I was fortunate that my ex-wife was on board with this and is making him do chores. And as far as she told me, she's a lot harsher and tougher on him than I would have been. Yeah, So she's going to make him do the hard stuff, the complicated stuff. I do agree, however, that I shouldn't have given him a chores schedule a lot sooner. That's on me. Fair. 2, people comment on the commute from his mom to his school. We do not live in the US. We live in Germany, and when I say it's 2 hours, this is with public transportation. Someone even said that the 2-hour commute will result in him getting bad grades and warrants a CPS call. That one honestly made me chuckle. 3, I went over to my ex today, and she, me, and my son had a good talk about this with him today. We explained that having his belief and opinion is his own. The moment that disrespects people, it becomes toxic. We sat him down, and we've told him he is going to go to counseling twice a month now, instead of once every other month, as he will be talking about this specifically. We have never once interfered with his therapy, but we will step in now, but only for this and this alone. We will not be invading his privacy for any other matter. 4, the punishment my ex and I am letting him go for still stands. He will stay with her until mid-January. We love our son with every fiber of our being, but he needs to know that some things just cannot be allowed. Whilst he did show regret to his initial response, is a step in the good direction, I said that this is a deeper issue that has to be addressed. 5, he will be getting a fixed chore schedule, whether he likes it or not. No more coasting on the easy life. No more coasting. Stefunky, love how Dad recognizes his errors of starting chores late. Yeah, and now's a good pivot time. At 16 years old, you only got 2 years till this kid could be an independent adult. 2 years. There's a whole lot of adulting and things that you need to know to be able to successfully adult by then. And I think most of us can sit here and say that, yeah, there's a lot of adulting stuff that we didn't learn before becoming adults and just kind of had to figure our shit out as we go. That's one way. But I think, I think one of your duties as a parent, one of our duties as parents, is to prepare them to be a successful adult. It's not just to provide for them. It's not just to be a taxi. It is to train them and show them by example, but also by integration and involvement, how to be a successful adult. Grain of salt. We're all learning as we go. We're all doing the best we can to adult the way that we know how, and we learn more every freaking day, right? But the more we know, the more we need to be teaching. And there just hasn't been any teaching going on to this point, which kind of surprises me. And maybe this is one of those cases where if you have a dysfunctional family, or if you have a mom and a dad who are staying together, even though there's no love there, they aren't doing life as a team, they're just roommates that are raising a child together, sort of. Maybe if you didn't have that distraction, maybe they would have started this a hell of a lot sooner. Maybe they would have recognized this a hell of a lot sooner. Or maybe it took seeing his dad do chores for him to develop this belief. And to be like, yeah, I never want to do that shit. That makes him a failure. A failure how? By choosing to lead an independent, happy life? Like, the messages this kid has learned to adapt his beliefs are terrifying. And yes, he regrets it. Of course he regrets it. He got in big ass trouble. But there's regretting it with the Band-Aid approach of I'm just trying to get my shit out of trouble. And then there's regretting it in the true resonant way of changing his life and changing his worldview. And that is the goal here. And I agree with you, OP. That's not something that you can just do once and have him grounded for 2 weeks and that's it. That has to be a life change. For this belief to change, his life has to change. The way he lives has to change. The way that he respects the things around him have to change as well. And I think that you are NTA here. And the question was, am I the astronaut for teaching my son a lesson and throwing him out after he said household chores are a woman's job? Your title is a lot more harsh than the reality was. You didn't kick him out like on the street. You sent him back to his mom's house. And even then, that was something that she had to agree to. She had to be on board with. And thank goodness she was. I can't imagine that she wouldn't be, especially after being a stay-at-home mom and working her ass off to provide for this kid for 16 years, and then hearing that bullshit opinion, she's like, oh yeah, we'll fix this. We'll fix this real quick. You think it's easy, huh? You think only a woman should be doing this? Okay. All right. Let's see how your strength develops after your scrubbing grout. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another story for you. This one actually comes from Relationship Advice, and title is My Dad's Wife Makes Me Pretend I'm Not His Daughter. So, this is a bit of a complicated story, but I'll keep it as straightforward as possible. I, female 26, was around 4 to 5 when my parents divorced. I grew up with my mom, stepdad, and younger siblings, while my dad, male 50, moved to another country, remarried, and we eventually lost contact. Without going into too much detail, it's a 3 to 5 business day explanation. It was largely due to his new relationship. Fast forward to recently, I moved to the same country to live with my partner, and I decided to reach out to my dad. We reconnected, but under humiliating conditions. My dad's wife demands that I'm introduced as a family friend to their kids who don't know that I'm their sister. Yeah, heaven forbid people have a past, right? As you can imagine, visiting is always awkward. I can't call him dad or talk much about myself or my family because my stepmom dislikes hearing about it.
She sounds nice.
She does. She sounds like a freaking Georgia peach. This New Year's, my partner and I were invited over to their house for lunch. It was going okay, aside from my stepmom's mom ignoring my partner the whole time, until one of their kids loudly announced, "Everyone here is family except OP and her partner." I felt so embarrassed and excluded, especially knowing that everybody at the table was already aware of my real identity, but was told not to acknowledge it. To make it worse, my stepmom chimed in with, "Well, what about the dogs?" The dogs?
That's
The dogs.
so nice.
My sibling replied, "Yeah, but I meant only we have this last name." That stung, especially since I'm the OG born with their last name. This reminded me of a previous gathering where everyone knew me as my father's daughter, but I now realize everyone there likely knew the secret sibling situation and had been told not to acknowledge it. Thinking back, it makes me feel delayed embarrassment, like I was the only one not in on this unspoken rule. It left me feeling deeply hurt. I love the kids, and they really enjoy seeing me. They're always asking when I'll visit again. My stepmom insists I visit more to keep the kids happy. And I'm questioning why I should keep sacrificing my dignity for their comfort. I'm debating whether to confront my dad about how excluded I feel or to cut ties altogether. I don't want to lose all contact with the kids, but I also want to stand up for myself as this situation has opened up my unhealed abandonment issues. The silver lining here is how supportive my partner has been through all of this. Luckily, he is my family here, and soon we'll be married and can have our own matching last names too. Top comment. Just tell your sisters and brothers the truth, and if stepmom gets mad, so be it. What are they going to do? Cut you out again? You already know what that's like. Here's the big problem that I have here. It's not for the kids' benefit. It's for no one's benefit but stepmom. She just doesn't want to hear about it. That's it. She just doesn't want to hear about it. Everybody there already knows, but they're told not to address it because stepmom doesn't like hearing about it. Also, the f*** is your dad doing here? Brozo isn't mentioned at all, except for he left when I was really little and eventually lost contact. Okay, so question for you, OP. How much do you care about that relationship? That's the first conversation I'd be having. I'd be like, "Yo, Dad, what's up? Why are you allowing this to happen?" And I'm sure he's being controlled by stepmom. Stepmom's controlling a whole group of people. She's like, "Oh, let's pretend like this doesn't exist. Don't anybody say anything." And everybody's so scared of her. They're like, "Yep." They're afraid of her. Everyone there is afraid of her. Either because she'll snap on them or she'll cause so much of a scene that they don't want to deal with because people want peace. People don't want to trigger the diabolical drama that is going to make it super awkward and uncomfortable there. Nobody likes to be uncomfortable, and they know she'll make it that. Stepmom is cray-cray, but your dad is enabling this. So we get to the end of the story here, and you're like, I really like the kids. No mention of dad. Sure as shit not a mention of stepmom because she's the source of the problems here. And now it makes a whole lot more sense how contact was lost a long time ago because he met her, right? So conversation with dad needs to happen now. And it's like, hey, I'm not okay with this. If you are, then we can't have a relationship. It's as simple as that. And yeah, you will lose a relationship with the kids for a while. Once they're old enough to make their own choices and to reach out to you, make sure they have that option. But as long as they're under her rule, you're not going to be able to have a meaningful relationship with him anyway. What you have right now is superficial. It's fake. It's not a real relationship. They think you're a friggin' stranger that just showed up at the house and celebrates holidays with them. Like, they don't. Choose you. Choose you. The kids would be fine with it. I agree with this top commenter. Tell them the truth. They don't care. Nothing's gonna change with them, except for they're gonna be like, oh shit, we're related? Cool. No wonder we like you so much. Stepmom's gonna be really angry because it's awkward now, or she's gonna make it awkward for everybody. But what is she gonna do then? Like top commenter here says, what? Insist that dad cut you out again? Oh, okay. At least then everybody knows the truth. And at least then the kids are like, why don't we see our sister anymore? Oh, it's because our controlling mother can't handle the fact that dad was a human being before the day that they met. That's deeply unfortunate. Deeply. OP, I think you have limited options here. I mean, it's really only one option, and that is to have this tough conversation with your dad. I would not involve your stepmom in this conversation at all. There's no point in that. None. No point in that whatsoever, because you know how she feels already and you know how manipulative she is. Don't even bother. Talk to your dad without her sitting there controlling him and see what his actual response is. He's going to have to make a stand if this thing's going to stick, but you got to make the play. You're the one person in that house who cannot be controlled by her, but somehow she is controlling you. Make that stop. Make it stop. She's completely denied her existence up to this point. So this needs to be a conversation with dad, and he needs to understand what he's about to lose for a second time. And even then, we don't know how he feels about any of this. We don't know. I assume he pushed for being able to bridge a connection there somehow, because stepmom at least agreed that OP could meet people. She just had to pretend that she wasn't his child. Agreeing to that in the first place is what befuddles me. I'm befuddled. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder once again with another story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for telling my mom she can't share a room or a bed with her boyfriend in my home? Ooh, perhaps a different kind of spicy. Here we come. When I, 27 female, was in college, I met my boyfriend and we moved in together, sharing a place with some friends after dating for a year. I was 19 when we met and 20 when we moved in together. We decided from that point onward to take turns spending Christmas with our families. But the first year we were supposed to see mine, my mom made it clear that my boyfriend could not stay and we weren't sharing a room or a bed in her house. Oh. My dad argued in favor of letting it happen since I was an adult and living with him already, but mom said no. She hated that I wouldn't stay at their house then and instead booked an Airbnb. She said I should respect the rules of her house, and I told her I was, but I didn't want to tell my boyfriend to be alone on the holidays, and especially when his family had welcomed us together happily. After that, I made it clear that there would be no coming to visit like that if I couldn't sleep with my boyfriend. My mom said it wasn't like we were married, so she had every right to that rule. 2 years ago, my dad died, and for 11 months, my mom has been in a relationship with her boyfriend. They don't live together exactly, but according to my brother, he was there most nights while he was still there. My mom and my brother aren't really talking right now. My brother could hear mom and her boyfriend in bed, and he hated it, so he moved out. He's also 22 and had wanted to, but it gave him the push to move out. Poor choice of words, maybe. My mom was furious and demanded to know why he was leaving out of nowhere, and she freaked out when my brother told her he was tired of hearing them. It started mom off on him not being happy for her that she found somebody again after dad had passed. My mom seems to be missing my brother being around, and she told me she misses having her kids around her, so she wanted to visit for a week or two soon. She wanted to bring her boyfriend along, and I told her she can't share a room or a bed with him in my home. I told her I do not want to hear that. She got mad at me and said she's a grown woman and should be allowed her freedom. I told her she was all right denying it to me, and I wasn't even planning to have sex in her house. But it sounded like she doesn't care if we hear or not, and I'm not dealing with it. I also told her that I wasn't going to reward her with sharing her boyfriend when she has been so strict with me about it. My mom accused me of acting like a petty child. Am I the astronaut? Top comment, NTA, what goes around comes around, your mom. One rule for thee and another for me. NTA. This is an NTA. Chat, you got it right. You got it right. Yeah, and also, yes. Petty thunder. What a fantastic use of the petty turnabout is fair play here. OP, well done. And it was even more substantiated. There was more supporting evidence behind it than I thought there was going to be. I thought because that happened way back in the day, and then when she was dating this guy, you were just going to be like, no. It's not like you're married, and that was going to be the end of it, which you would still be justified with, right? But no, it's even worse because even if she had not done that to you back in the day, even if you didn't have to use her own logic against her, you have every right to be like, no, I've heard accounts of what that would be like, and I don't want to be uncomfortable in my own home. And you seem to be hell-bent on making me uncomfortable in my own home, so no. But you had the added ammo of saying you used your right to not feel uncomfortable in your own home and told me no. You just perfectly comfortable being a hypocrite now? Is that what's happening? And for her, what she said to her son about whenever he decided to move out because they are loud, she turned that into him not being happy for her to have met someone. Two very different things. Yeah, I'm very glad that you found someone. I just don't want to keep hearing him find you all night, every night. No thanks. No thanks. Not only do I just not want to hear that from my mom, period, but especially not with somebody who's not my dad. Like, there's time that's needed there, and she is very selfish. She's very selfish. Katie the Red dropped the $5 super said, oh, so OP's mirroring and mom doesn't like it. Also, ooh, that mom was being so loud in her private activities. Your kids don't need to hear that. Hey there, it is Dusty once again with another story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for telling my cheating wife a day before our daughter's graduation that I would be divorcing her? My wife and I have been married for 20 years and we have a daughter who's 18. She graduated high school a few months ago. Around 6 years ago, I found out that my wife was cheating on me and having an affair which lasted for a couple of months. I really wanted a divorce, but my wife was really remorseful. She quit her job, she started going to therapy, she promised all reconciliation steps that I asked for. Ultimately, I did decide to stay with my wife for her sake and for our family's sake too. For around 5 years, everything was actually going great. We had date nights, romantic vacations, and we really loved each other. However, on the 6th year, the whole thing resurfaced back on my mind, and I just couldn't get it off my mind. I finally made my decision after a particular line from my sister struck a chord with me. She said, would you really want to use the gift of life and spend it with someone who had betrayed you so badly? She told me this a couple of days before my daughter's graduation, and that's when I finally decided that I couldn't do it anymore. A day before my daughter's graduation, I informed my wife of my decision and told her that I would be filing for divorce soon. My wife was shocked, and she cried a lot and told me that she would do anything, but I told her that my decision was final. My daughter's graduation in itself was great, and I was really proud of my daughter. And my wife seemed happy too, but my daughter could sense that something was wrong and asked me why her mom seemed down and trying to fake a smile. I told her not to worry about it and to just enjoy the day. The next day, however, I told my daughter that I would be filing for divorce, and my daughter seemed shocked. She said, how could I do this to her mom before graduation? And that's why her mom couldn't enjoy the graduation. I told her it's none of her business, but we'll both always love her regardless. My wife and I are now going through divorce proceedings. Am I the astronaut?
To me.
Also, it's none of your business to your child who you're explaining the situation to, because it very much is her business, was maybe not the right move here. Top comment on this. You are absolutely within your right to end your relationship for whatever reason you have. That doesn't make you an asshole. What does make you an absolute asshole is how you chose to do it, your complete lack of empathy and thought about timing your announcement, even if just for the sake of your daughter. Your wife ruined your relationship 6 years ago. You ruined your daughter's high school graduation day. She's not going to ever graduate from high school again. You forever tainted this moment for her. Like others have said, you waited 6 years already. What would another few days have been? This was completely selfish. No consideration for anyone else. Yeah, that's problematic. So, not thinking about others when making a decision for yourself that's problematic. Because the others you needed to think about were your daughter and the person that you have spent this much of your life with, who you've decided you don't want to be with anymore. And again, you're well within your right to do that for whatever reason you decide. However, forgiveness is forever, is it not? Like, yes, this can resurface and you thought you could forgive her. And after forgiving somebody, and saying that, she went through all the steps that you asked her to go through, and then you had 5 good years, but on the 6th year, it just popped back up into your head. Something happened. Something happened to make that resurface, and maybe it was thinking about what life will be like after your daughter moves out, and then thinking about, I don't know. I don't know what happened to resurface this, but I don't think that it just randomly happened. I have a problem with saying that you forgive someone, that person going through all of the work, then having 5 good years, and then all of a sudden randomly pulling that back up from 5 years ago or 6 years ago and saying, yeah, that was the thing. Remember that thing? That's the thing. The thing I did forgive you for. And then you gave me 5 years of your life as well. And now it's a problem. And again, you can end a relationship for whatever reason you decide to. This feels like a bullshit reason to me. I think he was looking for an excuse to start living the selfish life that he wants to live now that his daughter's not going to be in the house. Whatever life that looks like, right? But let's assume everything he's saying is accurate here. It is that. He just can't get over it anymore for whatever reason. All of a sudden, he just can't get over it anymore. His timing does make him an asshole here. All he had to do was wait 1 extra day. And it kind of seems intentional, doesn't it? It seems like he intentional wanted to shit on what could be a very happy moment for his soon-to-be ex-wife by just randomly dropping this bomb on her. I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel like him having an issue with it after forgiving her and then after having 5 good years is a him problem. But that's the kind of thing that I feel like if that came up, if it resurfaced, something changed within him. And if I were in his shoes and something had happened like that, I'd be like, the answer for me right now is just to go to therapy, is to go try to figure out what caused this and try to resolve this issue in my mind, because it is a me problem. I forgave you for that. Forgiveness is forever. You don't rent forgiveness. Forgiveness does not have an expiration date. I don't know, Tater Thunder, what do you think here? Tater thoughts. Heat lamp is on, piping hot, fresh out the oven.
No, I agree.
Put a little salt on them.
Lots of salt. Potatoes needed. One, I agree with everything that you said. I think that if you choose to forgive someone and then resurfacing the issue 6 years later, it's kind of like the guy who wanted the one fun night because his wife cheated on him in high school. Like,
yeah.
That's what this feels like.
But that was like 6 years later as well.
Here's what I don't like is that, one, of course you have trauma. Your spouse cheated on you. You chose to forgive. She met your requirements. You guys chose to move forward. And when this popped up, the first person you should have gone to was your wife. You should have gone to her with your issues and not your sister, who you know is probably, she's in your corner. But her view is, my view, like with my brother, is tainted because I'm his sister. Like, I can't be impartial to the situation because I'm his sister, and I know that, and I've told him that. So if he needs that viewpoint, don't come to me. But I feel like the sister in this situation saying what she said after 6 years, after they've had a good 5 years, is kind of shitty. Like, it's shitty to see someone who's struggling with intrusive negative thoughts and feeling like they want to give up on this and then being like, yeah, you should do that. Like, I don't know. It just bothers me that she piped in, and that's what made him make his decision. And
what
that's
caused her to make that statement too? It's not like she opened the conversation with, hey, I've been thinking.
No, he went to her.
Yeah, he went to her because he was already thinking about it, or...
And if this was the real reason, like, I don't know. I just feel like if you make the commitment to work on this with your wife should be the first person to know this, and you definitely don't do this the day before your child's graduation. You don't, especially like high school graduation. That's such a defining moment, and you tainted it. Like you made it shitty, and you could have not done that, and it was completely selfish. I don't know if it was the milestone of her leaving, not really leaving the house, but of being done with school and feeling like he had accomplished something and he was just waiting for that to happen to leave. He met somebody else, or if he just really, it just resurfaced and it is what it is. But I do think the wife should have been the first person to know that he was having doubts. If you make that commitment, follow through with it. Like you said, don't rent an apology. Don't
Forgiveness,
Forgiveness, yeah.
And Dr. Sweets, I saw you had something to this effect, but it was basically, he said he stayed for his wife and his child's sake. He stayed for the family's sake, right? Which I can tell you from experience, like, doesn't work out well.
Right.
You're essentially telling yourself to ignore who you are and to pretend as long as you can until you just can't stand it anymore. And maybe that was happening here, but if that was the case, the rest of the story doesn't line up. He said they had 5 good years. So did he truly convince himself that he was happy and it was still just fake for those 5 years? Right. And truly he was just there for his wife and his child? And if so, the timing lines up, because as soon as his daughter wasn't going to be in the house anymore, he's like, well, I don't have to stay for her anymore.
Right.
So I'm free. But then everything before that is bullshit, because you didn't have 5 good years.
Right.
You faked it for 5 years. And if you're that good at faking it for 5 years and then getting to this point,
I think there's either he met someone, I don't know. It's just like, if you say we had dates, we had romantic vacations, and then I don't know. It just feels shitty. I think the person who got shit on the most is the daughter, because
Agreed.
This was completely blindsiding. And like he said, my wife was shocked because she had no idea, because you didn't bring it up to her, because how would she have known? So I don't know. I feel bad. It's a bad situation, but I feel the worst for the daughter. And I feel like the biggest asshole in this story is the sister, close second with the hubby. And I mean, yeah, the wife's an asshole for cheating, but he chose to forgive. And if you choose to forgive, you don't get to use that against them anymore, because you're choosing to move forward. And that is my opinion on the situation. Yeah. And I understand that it can still be trauma, but you've got to work through the trauma together if you're still going to choose to forgive that person.
If you do forgive someone, I think you commit to never using that against them, right? And that's, if it does come up, like that feeling comes up, then it's a you problem. You have to address it. You have to go through it. I do think he has somebody else, or there's some ulterior motive of someone
here.
Else, there's something here where he's got this fantasy in his head cooked up of what life's going to be like afterward. He's like, I'm going to get a Harley. I'm going to have chicks over every night. It is going to be the glory days that I missed out on. And it's
a Harley.
May not work out that way for him, right? But I think that's what he's cooked up in his head. And the reason that he plucked is just the bullshit reason that he thought would be enough to substantiate this.
And he just threw his sister under the bus. She probably never said it. He just threw her under the bus.
Yep. Hopefully we get an update to this at some point, and they're like, oh yeah, no, he won't update it and fess up.
The sister's like, I never said that.
That his side piece has become the main course. He's never going to come back and fess that up. So it is what it is. So, am I the astronaut for telling my cheating wife a day before our daughter's graduation that I would be divorcing her? Also, extra bonus points in the direction of ASCON 1 for this title. You called her a cheating wife 6 years after you had forgiven her for what happened. So either you lied when you said that you forgave her and then you just faked it for 6 years, or this is all bullshit. Either way, giving you an ASCON 1 here because none of this had to be done the way that it went down, and you did it in a completely selfish and destructive way. Destructive to the people that you supposedly loved for a long time without any provocation. You chose selfishly, and in doing so, damaged other people. That makes you a pretty big asshole. Hey there, it's Dusty again with another story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for refusing to demote my dog after my sister gave her baby the same name? What in the rawhide is going on here? I, 26 female, have a dog named Charlie. Charlie is a golden retriever I adopted 4 years ago, and he's my best buddy. My sister, Emily, 29 female, recently had her first child, a baby boy. She and her husband named him Charlie. I'd like to remind everybody, one paragraph into this, we know OP has had this dog for 4 years. At first, I thought it was funny and didn't really think much of it, but then Emily pulled me aside during a family gathering and said it was confusing and disrespectful for me to keep calling my dog Charlie now that her son has the same name. She asked me to rename my dog. Oh, it wasn't... Like, okay, I'm not going to rename my dog. I'll tell you what I will do. Instead of calling you your actual name, I'm just going to call you that cantankerous cunt from now on. How about that? Will that work, Cece? I told her no. Charlie has been his name for 4 years. He knows it, responds to it, and it's on all of his paperwork. Changing it would be weird for him and for me. She got really upset and said it's not fair for her son to share a name with a dog, especially in family settings. She thinks it'll lead to jokes and confusion as her son grows up. My parents have weighed in, and while my dad says it's ridiculous to expect me to change my dog's name, my mom says I should just consider it to keep the peace. Mom, did you not hear the name I just gave your daughter? Do you really want to be a part of that? Now Emily's barely speaking to me, and a few family members think I'm being stubborn. I have no idea how I'm in the wrong here. The world has gone crazy. I love my dog, and I didn't name him to spite anybody. I also think it's not my fault that they chose a name already in use in the family. Am I the ass cannot? No!
No.
No! No. No. No, no. No, no, no. She chose a name that had been in use for 4 years. All problems are you problems, dumbass. You don't get to, after you've witnessed me calling my dog Charlie for 4 years, birth a human, name it the same name, and think that you just get to take it. Why? Because it's a dog? You just get to steal his name? I'm sorry. The world doesn't work like that. You don't get to go around taking whatever the hell you want and forcing people to bend to your will. This is something you have to tell a 3-year-old, not a grown-ass woman who has a kid. And your mom enabling this bullshit kind of explains how it all got to this point in the first place, doesn't it? You got a golden child problem here. You got a golden child problem. Everybody else in the family who thinks you're being stubborn, they know what'll happen when the golden child doesn't get her damn way. Funk all that, man. Funk that. Stand your ground. Do not let them push you into renaming your damn dog. It's a her problem. Let her figure it out. Either she can start using a nickname or they can change the name completely. It was a dumbass move to choose that name for them. You did not go have a psychic reading done when you were choosing the name and you're like, okay, here's $50. I really need to know what my sister's firstborn child's name is going to be. Charlie. Okay, perfect. Charlie, you're Charlie, dog. You're Charlie. I got it. I took Charlie. Nobody else can have it. It's not like you, whenever they named the kid Charlie, got upset and marched over to her. And we're like, you can't do that. It's going to be really confusing for everybody. No! You didn't do that. The only one being unreasonable is your dumbass sister for choosing that name. It was... I'm giving her a little bit of this. A little bit of the Delulu. Pachoo, pachoo. And I'm giving her this as well because this is not ignorance. This is, I'm going to steamroll you into submission and force you to do exactly what I want you to do through sheer annoyance and drama. For everyone in the world, you must stand against this. What do you think, Tater?
I think that your response was amazing.
Oh,
and the only thing I have to add is my parents actually have a dog named Charlie, and I call her Char Char Binks.
Yeah.
So they're actually Maverick and Charlie from Top Gun, but I like to call her Char Char Binks because she responds to it and she's so cute. But I think that's what you could call the kiddo.
Char Char?
Char Char Binks. If you know, you know. But
Charizard, you got a lot of options.
Char barks. I'll see if she responds to that one too.
There's a nickname for Charles. There's like a
Chuck.
Is it Chuck?
Mm-hmm. Chuck, Charlie.
Angel.
Oh, here, somebody has a list. Chuck, Chip,
look at that.
Chaz, Charlie.
Chuck
For Charles.
Okay. Chip would be cool.
Yeah, Chaz.
Shut your mouth, Chip.
I like Chaz better.
Angel dropped the $2 super, said fortune teller name stealer. Next Dusty novel. Ooh.
Aw, I love that, Ruth. I mean, it seems like a crazy power move to pick a name that's already in use by someone, because it otherwise, what's the purpose? Like, there's no other reason to do that than to be a spiteful bitch.
To a dog.
Also, and dogs can't understand. You can't just start calling your dog a different name. They wouldn't understand it.
Okay, I know for 4 years your name's been Charlie.
Yeah.
But you're going to be Chip from now on. Dog's like, who the f is Chip?
That's not my name. That is not my name.
You call him.
We don't
You call
deserve
him
dogs.
Chip. You call him Chaz. You call him whatever you want. Charlie's my name. Charlie's my name. Charlie's my name. Charlie's my name. There's something there.
That's a good job, babe.
That was the most
I'm really
pity-laden
proud.
statement I have ever heard you make.
I'm really
and
proud
I am
of you.
Deeply hurt by it.
Really proud of you for that.
At a really like core emotional level, I am hurting right now.
No, you're not.
If my body produced tears,
Oh, I love that. Freckled and if your body produced tears. Will the real Charlie please sit down? And the dog sits. That's how you know?
there you go.
I love that.
Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.